Mike Tyson didn't plan to stop in that neighborhood. He wasn't in Brooklyn for business, or interviews, or nostalgia. He was simply driving, windows down, hood up, letting the cold air fill his car as he moved through streets he once knew like the back of his hand. Streets that raised him. Streets that tried to break him. Streets that almost succeeded. It was late afternoon when he stopped at a red light across from a small convenience store. The kind that still had faded soda posters from the early 2000s, dusty newspaper racks, and a handwritten sign reading "No loitering" taped crookedly to the glass door. Tyson sat there, staring out the window, lost in thought, until something caught his eye. A boy, 12, maybe 13, thin, tired. Clothes worn out, backpack half open. He wasn't walking inside the store. He was hiding near the side wall, peeking in, stepping back out, peeking in again. Tyson leaned forward slightly, watching. Something wasn't right. Tyson had seen that body language before, in Brownsville, in Harlem, in kids who weren't bad, just hungry. Finally, the boy slipped inside the store. Tyson didn't know why, but something in his chest tightened. A feeling he couldn't ignore. Without thinking, he pulled the car over, turned off the engine, and stepped out quietly, keeping his hood up. The bell above the door jingled as he entered. Inside, the store was empty except for the cashier, a middle-aged man scrolling on his phone, and the boy, who stood frozen in the snack aisle. Tyson watched him from a distance. The boy glanced at the cashier, waited until he looked down again, then reached for a small pack of bread rolls and a protein bar. He slipped both into his backpack quickly, nervously, hands shaking. Then he grabbed a small apple and tucked that away too. Tyson inhaled sharply. It wasn't the theft that hit him. It was the way the boy did it, like someone who had stolen food before, like someone who didn't want to steal but didn't have a choice. The boy zipped his backpack and turned toward the door, but as he passed the counter, the cashier finally looked up. "Hey!" the man shouted, slamming his hand on the counter. "Come here! Now!" The boy froze, eyes wide, terrified. He didn't run. He didn't argue. He just trembled. I didn't take anything," the boy stammered. "Empty." The boy, bag. The cashier ordered, stepping around the counter aggressively. The boy stepped back. "Please, I'm sorry, I just—" "Open it!" Tyson stepped forward. "Yo," he said softly but firmly. The cashier turned, ready to yell, until he saw Tyson's face, or the outline of it, or the presence of it. Recognition hit him like a slap. "Mr. Tyson?" the cashier whispered. Tyson nodded once. "Let the boy talk." The cashier hesitated. "He stole." "I said let him talk," Tyson repeated, his voice low, calm, but carrying more weight than any punch he ever threw. The boy looked up at Tyson, eyes full of fear and shame. "What's your name, champ?" Tyson asked gently. The boy swallowed hard. Elijah. "How old are you?" 12. Tyson glanced at the bulging backpack. "Why'd you take the food, Elijah?" Elijah's lip trembled. I didn't have money." "You hungry?" Tyson asked. Elijah nodded. "When's the last time you ate?" Tyson added. Elijah looked at the floor. "Yesterday." Tyson felt his jaw tighten. A quiet anger, not at Elijah, but at the world that forced a child into this situation. "You got somebody at home?" Tyson asked. Elijah hesitated. That was the first red flag. "My mom," he whispered. "She works double shifts. She's not home a lot." "And your dad?" Tyson asked. Elijah's eyes softened with a pain that only a child from a broken home can understand. He left." Tyson nodded slowly. Every piece of Elijah's story was a mirror held up to his own childhood. The cashier crossed his arms. "I'm sorry, Mr. Tyson, but rules are rules. He's still stealing." Tyson turned toward the cashier calmly. "How much is the bread?" Tyson asked. The cashier blinked. $2. And the bar? $3. And the apple? $1.50. Tyson reached into his pocket, pulled out a $100 bill, and placed it on the counter gently. There, Tyson said. We good? $3. The cashier stared at the bill. It doesn't work like that. He still broke the law. Tyson's voice lowered. You ever been hungry? He asked. Real hungry. The kind of hungry that makes you steal an apple just to stop your stomach from hurting? The cashier hesitated. He didn't answer. Tyson continued. You ever been 12 years old with nobody waiting for you at home? You ever watch your mother work herself to death and still not have enough to eat? The cashier swallowed hard. Didn't think so, Tyson said softly. Elijah shook his head violently. Please don't call the cops. Please. I'll put it back. I'll sweep the floor. I'll do anything. Just please don't call them. That's when Tyson saw it. A bruise on the boy's wrist. Dark, purple, fading, hidden under his sleeve. Tyson's chest clenched. He recognized the pattern. The tight grip. The shape. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't from falling. That was from someone grabbing him. Who did that? Tyson asked quietly. Elijah froze. Tyson softened his voice. Elijah, who hurt you? Was it someone at home? Elijah's chin quivered. He pressed his lips together, trying not to cry. I can't say. Tyson exhaled slowly. He knew that answer. He lived that answer. He was that answer. He placed a gentle hand on Elijah's shoulder. You're safe, Tyson said. Nobody's gonna hurt you while I'm here. Elijah finally broke. A tear rolled down his cheek, followed by another. The cashier watched, unsure what to say or do. Tyson crouched so he was at Elijah's eye level. Listen to me, he said gently. You didn't do anything wrong. You're hungry. You're scared. You're doing the best you can. Elijah nodded, tears spilling freely now. Tyson stood up and calmly walked to the counter. He put $500 on it. You're going to forget this ever happened, Tyson said softly. And you're going to let this boy walk out of here with his food. Understood? The cashier nodded immediately. Yes, sir, of course, Mr. Tyson. Tyson placed an arm around Elijah and guided him outside. The moment they stepped into the street, Elijah started apologizing again. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Tyson interrupted. Don't apologize for being hungry, champ. But stealing is wrong. You know what's worse? Tyson asked. What? Letting a kid starve because nobody cares enough to help him. Elijah sniffled and wiped his nose on his sleeve. Tyson continued walking with him down the block. You live close? He asked. Elijah nodded. Over there, the apartment with the broken window. Tyson frowned. You live alone? No, my mom comes home late. But, he hesitated. But what? Tyson asked. Elijah's voice cracked. But her boyfriend gets mad when there isn't food. Tyson stopped walking. Elijah, he said slowly. Does he hurt you? Bice. The boy froze. His shoulders shook. Tears welled again. Tyson knelt beside him. It's okay, he said. You can tell me. And Elijah whispered the sentence that turned Tyson's world upside down. He hits me when he's drunk, and he tells me I'm the reason my mom's life is ruined. Tyson closed his eyes. That was it. The same words Tyson heard as a boy. The same lies. The same violence. The same darkness. He stood up slowly. Elijah, you're coming with me. The boy panicked. No, he'll get mad. Tyson shook his head. Let him, he said calmly. He won't get near you again, I promise. Elijah stared at him, confused, scared, hopeful. Tyson placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. You're safe now, he said. I'm not letting you go back there alone. And with that, Tyson, a man who once survived the streets, began walking a hungry 12-year-old boy toward a different future. A future Elijah had no idea was waiting for him. Mike didn't know exactly where he was going. He just knew one thing with absolute certainty. He wasn't letting Elijah go back into that apartment as if nothing had happened. As they walked down the sidewalk, Elijah hugged his backpack against his chest like a shield. People glanced at them, some recognizing Tyson, some not, but no one knew the story unfolding between the ex-champion and the 12-year-old boy beside him. "Where's your mom right now?" Tyson asked quietly. Elijah sniffled. "She's at work. She works at the hospital. Night shift." Tyson nodded. "So he's home alone?" Elijah swallowed. "Probably. Or at the bar." Tyson thought for a moment. Years of street instinct, pain, and growth all collided in his mind. He could feel his old anger rising, the part of him that wanted to walk straight into that apartment and do to the boyfriend what had been done to him his entire life. But he wasn't that man anymore. He had spent too much time learning how to control the rage, how to turn it into something else. "Come on," he said. "You eaten enough." Elijah looked at the backpack. "Just the bread." Tyson nodded. "That's not enough. We're getting real food." They walked into a small diner 2 blocks away, the kind that smelled like burnt coffee and grilled cheese. Tyson slid into a booth and nodded for Elijah to sit across from him. A waitress came over, did a double take when she saw Tyson, then smiled nervously. "What can I get you?" she asked. Tyson looked at Elijah. "Whatever you want, champ." Elijah stared at the menu like it was a foreign language. Just a burger and fries. And maybe a milkshake?" Tyson smiled. "Make that 2 burgers, 2 fries, 2 milkshakes." When the food came, Elijah devoured it. He didn't talk. He didn't look up. He just ate like he was scared someone would snatch the plate away from him at any moment. Tyson watched quietly. He remembered that feeling. He knew exactly what it meant to inhale food, because you didn't know when the next meal would come. When Elijah finally slowed down, Tyson leaned forward. "Listen, Elijah," he said gently. "What's happening at your house? That's not your fault. You hear me?" Elijah stared at his fries. "He says it is." Tyson shook his head. "He's wrong. Cowards blame kids for their own failures." Elijah's eyes welled up, but he blinked the tears away. "I can't just leave my mom," he said. "She needs me." "Your mom needs you alive," Tyson replied. "She needs you safe. She doesn't need you taking punches meant for her." Elijah's throat tightened. "He hits her too." Tyson closed his eyes for a second. The anger flared again, but he forced himself to stay calm. This wasn't about unleashing violence. This was about breaking a cycle. "You got any other family?" Tyson asked. "Grandma, aunt, someone like that." Elijah shook his head. "Just mom. Everyone else is gone or gone." Tyson exhaled slowly. He pulled out his phone and stared at the screen for a moment. Somewhere in his contacts was a number he never thought he'd actually use. A youth counselor a friend had once told him about. Someone who helped kids like Elijah. He dialed. "Yo, it's Mike," he said when the voice answered. "I need a favor. Big one." He explained the situation briefly. The counselor's tone shifted from formal to urgent. "Bring him by," the man said. "We'll figure it out." Tyson hung up and looked at Elijah. "I'm gonna help you," Tyson said. "The right way, not the street way. You understand?" Elijah frowned. "What's the right way?" Tyson smiled sadly. "The way that doesn't end with someone in jail and you alone again." They finished their food. When they stepped back out onto the sidewalk, the sky had started to darken. Streetlights flickered on. People moved in small pockets, heading home, heading nowhere, heading anywhere but the truth. "We're going to your building," Tyson said. "I'm not dropping you off. Don't worry. I just want to see something." Elijah's heart started pounding. "He'll flip if he sees me with you." "That's kind of the point," Tyson replied quietly. They walked toward Elijah's apartment building. It was old, bricks cracked, windows patched with cardboard, paint peeling off the metal railings. Kids played on the corner with a half-flat basketball. A woman smoked on the stoop, watching everything with tired eyes. The kind of building that had seen every possible story and still didn't care. "That one," Elijah said, pointing. "Third floor." Tyson looked up. One broken window. One curtain hanging half off. One home full of fear. As they reached the entrance, the door swung open from the inside. A tall, unshaven man stumbled out, smelling like cheap alcohol and bad decisions. He stopped when he saw Elijah. "There you are, you little," he started, raising his hand. Then he saw Tyson. The man blinked, squinted, laughed nervously. Hey, no way you're Mike Tyson," he said, swaying slightly. Tyson stepped in front of Elijah, blocking the man's view of him. "Yeah," Tyson said calmly, "and this is the last time you raise your hand at him." "Yeah." The man's smile faded. "He stole from the house. He left. He thinks he can just—" Tyson cut him off with a quiet voice. "You hit him?" The man scoffed. "Sometimes kids need discipline." Tyson's eyes went cold, but his voice stayed soft. "You hit him," he repeated. "A 12-year-old boy who's already hungry, already scared, and you make it worse?" A few neighbors had stopped to watch. The kids with the basketball paused their game. The woman on the stoop straightened up. The street grew strangely quiet as people realized what they were witnessing. "Look, man," the boyfriend said, trying to assert control. "This is my house, my rules. You don't know what this kid is like. He whines, he complains, he's a child," Tyson said. "You're a grown man." The boyfriend puffed his chest out. "What? You're gonna hit me or something? You think you can scare me just 'cause you're Mike Tyson?" Tyson stepped closer, so close that the man could see every scar, every line, every memory written on his face. "I don't need to hit you," Tyson said softly. "That's what you do. That's what weak men do. You need a child to feel strong. You need to break someone smaller than you to feel big. I used to be like that. And it ruined my life." The man rolled his eyes, but his hands were shaking now. "You put another hand on him," Tyson continued, "and you won't have to be scared of me. You'll have to be scared of the police, of child services, of everyone on this block who just heard you admit you put your hands on a kid." He turned his head slightly toward the watching neighbors. "You all know what's going on in that apartment," Tyson said loudly. "You hear the yelling. You see the bruises. You see this kid walking to the store alone at night. You gonna keep pretending you don't? Or are you finally gonna step up and act like a community?" The woman on the stoop nodded slowly. One of the older men who had been sitting near the building entrance stood up, eyes narrowed at the boyfriend. "He ain't lying," the older man said. "We heard you, plenty of times." The air shifted. The boyfriend wasn't just facing Tyson anymore, he was facing the street. "Don't come near this boy again," Tyson said. "Pack your stuff. Be gone before his mother comes home. If you love her even a little, you won't drag her down with you." The boyfriend glared at Elijah over Tyson's shoulder. "He's lying about me," he muttered. "He's just—" Tyson stepped even closer, his voice barely above a whisper now. "Look at me," he said. The man couldn't help it. He did. Tyson's eyes were not angry. They were heavy, sad, full of a truth that didn't need volume to be heard. "You're gonna sober up one day and realize you destroyed the only people who ever cared about you," Tyson said. "Don't let that be your story." The man looked away, jaw clenched, breathing fast. For a moment, he looked like a scolded child himself. Then he turned, shoved his hands into his pockets, and stormed back into the building without another word. The street was dead silent. The kids stopped dribbling the ball. The woman on the stoop wiped her eyes. Someone whispered, "Damn," under their breath. No punches had been thrown, no violence, No screaming, just truth. And that's what shocked everyone watching. One of the neighbors approached Elijah. "You okay, baby?" she asked gently. Elijah nodded, still staring at Tyson like he couldn't believe what just happened. Tyson placed a hand on Elijah's shoulder. "We're not done," he said softly. "We're still going to see someone who can help you and your mom." "Won't he just come back?" Elijah whispered. Tyson shook his head. "Not if we do this right." He called the counselor again, gave him the address, explained the situation in more detail. Within the hour, a social worker and a representative from a local support program met them near the building. They asked questions. They listened. They didn't treat Elijah like a problem. They treated him like a person. For the first time in a long time, Elijah felt something new. He felt heard. The counselors made notes. Arrangements were discussed. Safety plans put in motion. Tyson backed up every word with his presence, with his reputation, and with his promise that he would stay involved until Elijah and his mother were safe. By the time the conversations ended and the professionals left, the sun had disappeared completely. Streetlights hummed overhead. Elijah stood beside Tyson, holding the now empty food bag in his hands. "What happens now?" Elijah asked quietly. "Now," Tyson said, "you let people help you. You don't gotta carry everything alone. Not anymore." Elijah swallowed. "Will you still be there?" Tyson didn't hesitate for even a second. "Yeah," he said. "I ain't going nowhere." "Bowie." He handed Elijah a card with a handwritten number on it. "You call this if you ever feel scared, if you ever go hungry. If anybody makes you feel like you don't matter, day or night, you understand?" Elijah clutched the card like it was oxygen. "Yes, sir," he whispered. Tyson smiled a little. "And Elijah," he added. "Yeah? You're not the reason your mom's life is hard. You're the reason she keeps going." Elijah's eyes filled with tears again. But this time they weren't just from pain. They were from something softer, something warmer, hope. He stepped forward and hugged Tyson tightly. Tyson hugged him back, closing his eyes, feeling the weight of his own childhood, pressing against his chest and then slowly lifting. Later that week, Tyson visited a local youth boxing gym. He talked to the owner, slipped an envelope into his hand, and said only one sentence. "There's a kid named Elijah. Make sure he never has to steal food again." Months passed. Elijah started training there. He learned how to stand, how to punch, how to block, how to breathe, how to believe in himself. The bruises faded, the fear softened. The hunger became fuel instead of emptiness. One day, long after that afternoon in the convenience store, Elijah walked past a kid outside the gym digging through a trash can, looking for something to eat. Without thinking, Elijah reached into his own bag, took out the sandwich his coach had given him, and handed it over. "You don't gotta do that," the kid mumbled. Elijah smiled. "Yeah," he said, "I do." Across the street, leaning against a car, Mike Tyson watched silently. He didn't step in. He didn't announce himself. He just smiled, a quiet, knowing smile, and whispered to himself, "That's how it's supposed to go." Then he got in his car and drove away. This story isn't about a celebrity catching a kid stealing and punishing him. It's about a man who once stole for survival, seeing himself in a boy on the edge of breaking, and choosing to break the cycle instead. It's about a community waking up. It's about the power of one moment of compassion in a world that usually looks away. The whole street expected Mike Tyson, the former heavyweight champion of the world, to throw a punch that day. Instead, he did something nobody saw coming. He protected a child. He confronted a coward without violence. He pulled a boy out of a future that looked a lot like his own past. And that's what truly shocked the entire street.